Welcome back to another episode of Wild Sports. I'm Fu. Got my boy Sean here with me.
What up?
We are doing a little review preview. We're just reviewing Alabama's this week and only previewing Georgia's because Georgia was off last week and Alabama's off this week. So we'll jump into Alabama, Tennessee. What a game. I mean, final was 34-20. I mean, probably one of the most satisfying Bama games I've watched in a while. Just because of how grim it was looking at the beginning, and they fought back in it. Like I said, 34-20 was the final. Predictions, your boy was spot on almost. I predicted 31-20. I missed it by a field goal.
Missed it by a kick.
Sean had 26-17, so a little bit off.
Yeah,
but
a little off.
Not terrible. Like I said, Alabama got down 20-7 at half. It could have easily been 28-7. Had a turnover at the beginning of the game. We stopped them twice in the red zone and held them to field goals, which kept us to 20-7 at half. Did give up a touchdown at the end of the first half. Came out and it was just dominant in the second half. I mean, we outscored them 27-0 in the second half. Offense was non-existent in the first half. Defense was giving up a lot of yards, but made some big stops, like I said, to keep it within striking distance. Some interesting stats here. Joe Milton was 16 of 22 for 175 yards in the air, 43 on the ground, and 2 touchdowns. He finished the game with 271, so he had about a little over 90 yards and 59 rush yards. So he only had 16 rush yards in the second half, and he had no more touchdowns. So really shut them down. Alabama shut them down defensively. Offensively, we just tore it up in the second half. Jalen Milroe, pretty solid game. 14 of 21 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Seems like a kind of typical Jalen Milroe day, like not absolutely lighting up the stat column, but still a solid day. Jace McClellan had 27 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Just a, dredge it out tape day. They came out second half, scored in 2 plays. Defense just got rowdy and had 2 fourth down stops that were big swings in momentum towards us in the second half. One of them, I think, gave it to us right towards the 50 in our own, and then one stop was on our side of the field, so we got it back in plus territory. Just an overall, I mean, what a fight for this team. I think a big confidence booster. I think this team can really find their momentum. Defense is really strong. Offense is starting to find a little bit of groove. We didn't just rely on the deep ball. Starting to see Milroe really going through some progressions. I think he's getting a lot better every week. Still gave up some sacks. Like I said, is understandable with the running quarterback. He really used his legs a little better in the second half. What a solid game for the game and a big game to continue leading the SEC West. So I mean, you got any takes on the game? What did you get?
Absolutely. University of Georgia definitely appreciates giving us a firm grip against them.
Yeah,
on the standings at least.
Pretty much takes
for our
stride.
What's that?
Pretty much takes them out of the East.
I think so. I think they're pretty much a wrap. I think it's one of those situations where everything has to happen and they have to win every game for them to even have a shot.
Yeah.
For our bettors out there, Bama minus 8.5 hit and the over of 47.5 hit. I don't remember which one I went with.
You had
I went with the Bama cover,
barely.
and
Yeah, just
26-17 is the under. So I wouldn't want to. We can get into all the reasons that Bama won this ball game, but the one thing that stood out to me the most was Tennessee had 4 red zone possessions, and the Vols only had 1 touchdown in the red zone.
yeah,
I mean, that's the absolute difference maker right there.
yeah,
Kept him out of the end zone, kept your team in the game, and you know that's how you win ball games, especially rivalry ball games, especially games that you're playing back into from behind.
right.
Great second half adjustments made by the coaching staff and Saban. Tennessee had absolutely no answers for the adjustments that they made, like none. I think the best thing Bama did outside the red zone was made Tennessee very one dimensional. Tennessee's running backs on the day had 23 carries for 74 yards. That's barely over 3 yards a carry. If you're barely getting 3 yards a carry, it's probably not a successful day. You
Yeah,
know, either that or you really grinded out a win that day, and that wasn't the case for this game.
yeah,
Real solid game. Once I think Bama really just needed to settle down.
yeah,
Tennessee came in, guns blazing, players were wide open. You know, once they settled down, they got to play their game.
yeah. I was looking back at my notes from last week, and I think it's always kind of interesting to just look back and thought about it. Defense can't fall asleep against Joe Milton, which is what they did in the first half, I think. Um, and then defense allowed 13 total points in the second half in the previous 4 games before the Arkansas game, and they allowed 15 against Arkansas. So I thought that was going to be a big one. And hey, 0 points in the second half. So I guess they fell asleep at the right time in the first. It's better to fall asleep in the first half than it is the second half. Find offense other than the deep ball. They did a good job of that. Um, can Bama slow down the run game to not let Milton have an easier game? And I think that's what they did. Um, so, solid game for the Tide. Big win. Get a week off before LSU comes to town, and that's going to pretty much decide the West.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
I mean, it'll definitely, whoever wins that's got a big advantage going into the rest of the season. Definitely tracks. That'll be a big one. Looking forward to that one. But again, overall, big win for Bama. And, I think a big confidence booster for them against the tough Tennessee team. So,
What day is that game?
what?
The Bama LSU game.
November 4th?
Was it 4th? Huh.
Maybe?
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Hey, maybe we'll get our SEC championship match this year.
Maybe.
We'll
I
get to go.
haven't won yet, so.
Oh, and by the way, I wanted to bring up this stat because it's interesting. Now that we're talking about Alabama and Georgia maybe being in Atlanta, Saban's 21-2 when avenging a loss from the previous season on. So the last time we played Georgia,
We saw on a previous season.
just when avenging a loss.
Gotcha.
So looking for 22. Well, I guess 23-2 because he's now. I don't know if he's 21-2 or 22-2. Either way, we're looking for that extra one in Atlanta.
Looking for the next one. I hear you.
Moving on to the Bulldogs. Exciting game this week. Rivalry.
The beginning of the gauntlet.
Is it Georgia, Florida, or Florida, Georgia?
It's definitely Georgia, Florida.
Okay, so I hear that it's whoever won the year before, or I'm also hearing that I think Kirby said it's whoever won the year before, but then people are saying it's whoever the home team is. What's your take?
It's Georgia, Florida.
All the time.
Yeah.
See, that's what I would say. I was like, you got these people arguing it. I was looking it up, and I'm like, look, if that's me, I'm like, it's Alabama, whoever. It doesn't matter. Home team.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Whenever I say the Iron Bowl teams, I always say Auburn, Alabama, only because like this isn't no disrespect to Bama, but like if I'm talking about the city in Alabama, you always say the city and then the state. So in my head, that's what my head is programmed to do.
We'll reprogram it
Oh,
because
okay.
that's stupid.
Yeah, November 4th tickets might help that. You know what I mean?
It's
You know what
Alabama.
I mean?
It's Alabama Auburn. You better get it right. You better get it.
But back
Yeah,
to the big cocktail party,
yeah.
biggest one down in Jacksonville, Florida. You heard they're trying to move that game, right? Not like this
They've
year.
been trying to, they've been trying to do that for years, haven't they?
Yeah, this is the
Now they
first time
want
I'm
to move
actually
it.
hearing traction on it, though.
They want to move it to Atlanta so Georgia gets another home game like they do
And
every
I
year.
think they want to do home and homes. I think they want to go natural,
Oh, really? I don't know how
which
you.
I think will be brutal.
I mean,
I
well,
mean, think about it. How many rivalries have 100%? Yes.
that's what it
How many
is.
rivalries have neutral site games anymore?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
like
They
us
used
in
to do that
Oklahoma,
for the Iron
Texas?
Bowl. Well, for the Iron Bowl, they used to do it in
Right.
Birmingham, and they got rid of that in I don't know the 2000 or maybe 90s, late 90s.
So let me ask you: would you ever go back to
I mean,
neutral?
if they had, I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, personally, I would be okay because I hate going off. I think if you can get them out, anytime you can get them off their home field, I mean, I know Tuscaloosa is
That's
rowdy
true.
too, but you know, I don't know. I mean, I would be open to it. I mean, it's tradition too. We used to do
It,
it, so
it
I
is
would
a
have.
cool it is a cool concept. I like it.
The problem is
It's what
Birmingham
I've
doesn't
always
have.
known. So
I mean, we have new protective stadium that's nice, but I think it seats like 50,000 people, so it's not gonna be big enough. But
yeah.
I'm not a fit. But let's go. Let's
So
get into the game.
back into the game. They got the UGA's favored 14.5 points. Is that what you're seeing as well?
That is what I'm seeing.
All right. Over under is 47.5. Um, I probably should have said that at the end because I wanted to follow that line up with something else, but I'll get back to it. By the numbers, these defenses are actually very similar.
Yep.
Um, with the way UJ's defense has been playing, I think that they might be giving them some points up in this contest. Graham Mertz is actually playing pretty well this year.
He really is.
It's a 6-to-1
Sneaky,
ratio touchdown and interception. Yeah, exactly. Like he's
sneaky,
playing
sneaky
very
good.
very sneaky. Yeah,
Very sneaky good.
I would say probably the third best quarterback in the SEC right now. I think the big
Behind.
difference is going to be the comparison between the offenses in this game. Um, I understand that UGA is going to be without Brock Bowers, and that will hurt the offense, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll affect it as much as the haters want it to affect it. I think Oscar Delp steps up. I think Lawson Lucky, true freshman, steps up if he's healthy. He keeps going on and off the injury list. And I also believe that we see big days out of Rosemary Jackson and Dominic Lovett.
What about McConkey? How's he doing?
He's doing okay. We're spreading the ball
Quiet.
around a lot.
He seems quiet this year. I mean, I know
Yeah,
he
I
was
mean, the
hurt.
first couple games he was out. He caught some big first downs against Auburn. I feel like he's just like, and I hate comparisons between players, and this
I
guy's
know.
just like this. He's like Georgia's version of Wes Welker. Yeah, we need a first down. He's going to go do some little sneaky in and out route right at the down marker and get it for us. He's not as much of a playmaker as he was in previous seasons. But Rosemary Jackson has really stepped up to that. He's been a huge playmaker this year. I also think we're going to see a pretty good game out of Dejon Edwards, even though Florida's rush defense is very good. Before I get into my prediction, you want to add any notes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. My notes here is, how does UGA plan to replace Brock Bowers? I mean, we obviously know he's. I mean, I think arguably the best player in the country. Um, and it's shown for years. Everybody knows it. So I mean, how do you do that? You've got talent around, but like, is Georgia going to push the envelope there? I made a note of Oscar Dell because he stepped in. I think from what I've watched of Georgia, they do a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of two tight end sets. So they ask their tight
Mm-hmm.
end not only to Brock Bowers to catch, but they're blocking too. So got to really step into shoes that you're not. Everybody just sees Brock Bowers making these unbelievable plays, but not a lot of people pay attention to when he's moving people
Mm-hmm.
around on the line of scrimmage. So how important that is. Does Georgia come out and spread it out? Do they try and they have the athletes obviously to make up slack, but that's a tough piece of the puzzle to fill in. So what's their plan for doing that? I think that's an interesting point of the game. In Florida's passing game, I think for Florida to really compete with this, I think they're going to have to like go at y'all. I think you're going to have some run, but when you're this big of an under, this is a game I see Georgia's got everything to lose, and Florida has really not a lot to lose. I mean, I guess they're still in the race of this thing a little bit. Only being 5-2, so they're right in the midst of the SECs,
Yeah.
but you're a 14-point dog. Um, this is a game I see where, do they go for the throat, offensively and defensively? Because I
See?
think that's what they're going to have to do. If they try to just say we're going to man up, play your men versus our men ball, I think they lose, 10 out of 10 times. I think they're going to have to get creative defensively, offensively, try and jump out quick to be competitive in this game, I think. So that's what I'd like to see. And does Georgia go with the Kentucky approach? I mean, Florida, it's burned in my mind about Florida just getting torched by Ray Davis in Kentucky.
Yeah.
What do you think for that? We talked about it. So does Georgia go with that? I think that's interesting. Are they going to watch film on Kentucky and try and implement that? Um, and I think Florida's got to get after Beck. But how do you do that and not because you can't just go sell out on the pass when Georgia's can be two dimensional. And you got the Kentucky game back here. So it's an interesting game for me. It's anytime you got a rivalry game, it's always interesting to see. So I'm just interested to see how Georgia replaces Brock Bowers and what's Florida's plan. Because this would be like Florida's playing their Super Bowl this weekend.
100%.
Georgia's
It's
playing
like
another.
those old school like 19 and 8, not 80, but early years where you're like, oh, Georgia went 1-12, but it was a successful year because they beat Florida.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's what I'm saying. This is their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I felt about Tennessee last week. It's like that's what they're kind of out of the midst. They kind of know they're not going to make I mean, I guess they still had hopes going into that, but like, it's their game, and I think that's what this is for Florida. So, I think Georgia's going to have to play some good ball if Florida goes after that approach. I think if they just try and line up and play football, and I think Georgia torches them. But if they get creative, I think it could be an interesting football game. Let's put it that way. So predictions. Ooh,
Predictions.
I don't know, man. See, that's like I just talked
I'm just
about.
gonna say ours are gonna be way off.
See, I don't know.
I guarantee
I'm
we're way
debating
off.
if that Kentucky game is just like because Georgia beat the stew out of them. I mean, y'all beat the stew out of them.
And then we let Vandy score 20.
Yeah, and then Florida just has played some good football this year, but that Kentucky game is just like what?
You didn't hear anything?
No.
All right, good. It just came in my ear. It came through here. Then you're good.
So, like I said, Georgia smokes and routes Kentucky. Kentucky routes Florida. So I'm struggling with it. I'm gonna go though. I think it's going to be a good football game. I think it's going to be one of the two. I think Georgia comes out on top no matter what. But I think it's either going to be. I'm going to say it's going to be tighter. I'm going to say Georgia 27, Florida 20.
I like it.
27-20.
Now, remember, I did say we're going to be way off. All right? So you said 27-20, which is disgusting because the over-under is 47.5.
Is it? I didn't even
Yeah,
write that down. Did you say that earlier? Did I
I did.
subliminally? Maybe I subliminally
Which
heard that.
So you've got Florida covering, and then you've got the under by a half a point.
Okay.
All right. I've got Georgia covering, and I've got the over. My
Oh,
final
so
score is 44-24.
wow. I like it. So honestly, before we started this video, I thought it was gonna. Normally, knowing you, that you're always like, "This is gonna be a tough one." I don't know, or but you don't feel that way. I was wrong.
It's going to be tough. I think we
Obviously
have a couple
not.
breaks go our
You
way.
have beat them by 20.
I think a couple breaks are going our way.
Okay. Okay. See, I think it's either going to be. I think one of us is going to be dead on the score.
I could see
I
that.
think. I don't. I really
I
don't
think it's going to
see.
be you.
I really don't know. I mean, I guess. I mean, Florida could win the game, but I don't.
100%.
But it's going to just take one of those days for it to happen. But I think it's either going to be tight, like a really interesting game, Georgia maybe pull out in the fourth quarter, or y'all are going to like do what you did at Kentucky
Yeah, I'm pretty sure both teams are coming off a bye.
and absolutely just impose your will on them. So, um, yeah, I don't think Florida played last week.
It's usually both coming off a bye. Almost every single time, if not every single time.
That's the way
But
it is with LSU.
yeah, but that's it. Well, I think you're spot on. I think we're definitely one of us is going to be within 8 points total.
It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an interesting game to watch, probably, but we'll see. It's either going to be interesting or not interesting.
Well, even not interesting is interesting to me.
I hear you. I'm with you on that. All right. Well, that's our review preview. We always thought it was going to be shorter, but it's
We
not.
did.
But it was good. But y'all like, comment, subscribe. What y'all think about the Alabama Tennessee game? What do y'all think? What are y'all's predictions on Georgia Florida? Let us know in the
Team
comments.
Fu or Team Sean on the Georgia Florida score. Call it out.
Y'all let us know.
I guarantee TJ's with you. Terry. I bet
Be the
Terry's
first.
with you.
That'd
Terry
be the
probably
first.
thinks Florida's going to win the game.
Probably.
Idiot.
But yeah, y'all like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all checking out. Peace.